Okay, so this is going to be, I think, a very interesting interaction, only because you're going to speak. Okay, I will probably take the last slide. I like to close it as best as I can, but by and large, the rest of you have to participate. I'm counting on you to come forward rather than being prompted, because if I prompt, I end up prompting somebody from my screen. I have four screens, but I only see the first batch, which is screen one, as there's only 48 per screen. I don't know that I even have 48. So it is very helpful if it means something to you to speak up. And if you're going to speak up, the explanation is always useful. But remember, we have also limited time because there are a number of things we will share, and there are many colleagues to share. So you need to be as quick as you can and as much as you can. Please, example. Don't just give us some other English words to the piece of wisdom. None of it is, if you like, my own or whatever. I collect them because I think they make sense to me and will make sense to you. So we're sharing them, hopefully to learn from them and to hear your view about them. So let's make a start and get ready to press the button and talk, not to hold back as a shall I, shan't I. Remember our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. Don't think about it. Look at that. We're 165 already. Please, guys. Okay. So the first one is interesting. I don't know if you reflect on that. We did one full presentation on connecting the dots. Some of you might remember it. And connecting the dots is also another facet of thinking, because you connect things and you make sense of what you're seeing. It could end up being a drawing of a rabbit, but it also could be a metaphor, connecting the dot, meaning you figured out from various elements what's the real general situation. It doesn't have to be a picture. It could be a scene. It could be political. It could be anything. So it says here, thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. Who is ready to go? Speak. Don't wait to raise your hand because I can't see you. Wow. They're clamoring for speaking. Take a risk. Don't let me down. Come on. I can't sit here and wait for you. And then I'll speak, but it's not the idea. And let me see if some of the people in front of me, Suhad is there. Go on, Suhad. I bet you didn't want to be the first one to speak, but let's have you. What does it mean? Thinking is difficult, and that's why most people judge. And I want to give you, like say in social media, somebody says something, make a claim. How often do we really dig deeply to see what they're saying is true, false, supporting evidence, etc.? And how quickly do we judge it rubbish or, makes a lot of sense? Something like that or along these lines. What do you think, Sohal?
I guess by being good listener and eye contact, maybe we can understand from beginning, but maybe we will judge wrong. So it depends on the way the people speaking to us.
Right. So you, by the way they're speaking, you make a judgment. So you see, that is exactly the problem. Now you are almost stereotyping. Let's say the person sounds presumptive. Let's say they sound arrogant. They sound loud. And you make a judgment. Actually, you didn't listen to their thinking. What did they say? Why they said that? We didn't analyze before we come to conclusion. And why we do that? It's hard. I face that day in, day out. People hear something and they either agree or disagree with it, which is really bad idea. It could be, you might have an idea suggested to you by, say, a very junior or very senior, doesn't matter, a staff member. We may think, well, what does he know? What does she know? Or that sounds stupid. But actually, if you dig a bit deeper, there is maybe a lot of wisdom in that, whether you see it as wisdom or not, but there is. And if you give it the time of day, suddenly you've got a perspective. Okay. And frankly, that's what's wrong with the world. Social media, a lot of influencers, a lot of people who got their YouTube channels, they just talk and talk. And because we hear it on YouTube, we think they know what they're talking about, or we don't like them and we think they're stupid. Both ways, there's nothing intelligent about that. In fact, the smartest amongst you may be willing to listen to somebody that is saying the wrong thing in your opinion or opposing your stance. It's much better to go to that and then, I don't know if some of you have heard the term steelman their position, meaning support their argument to see, do they have a reason to say what they're saying? So that is really takes a very, very clever and patient person to connect the dot for themselves rather than agree, disagree. Agree, disagree is a judgment call. Okay, so we got to kick off, and usually that's the hardest. Let's see if we go to the next one, if I hear more participation. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Right. Speak up, please. I can't see you. And even some of you I know are good at this and they understand it, but maybe they feel I'll give a chance to others, and that's fine. But if you haven't spoken, everybody's entitled to at least say something straight away.
Hi, Fayez, Divakar here.
Yes, hi, Divakar.
Yes. We often get irritated when we see our weakness in somebody else.
Yes. So tell us how the irritated, so it let you what? How did it help you, this saying?
No, so often I used to get irritated with the other person who's displaying my weakness. Then I realized that this is something which I do, and I don't have anything personal against the person, but I dislike them because I see my weakness in them.
Correct. So other people act like a mirror to us. And anytime you find yourself unhappy with someone else, just ask that question. Are they reflecting to me something I don't like about myself? They could be loud. They could be stingy. There's so many characteristics that you look at and think, oh God, I don't like that. And if it really irritates you, it's a good mirror. So even the worst person you face in life has a lesson for you. Don't dismiss it quickly. Don't think, I don't want anything to do with them, because even the worst ones are a mirror that helps you understand yourself better and maybe correct. If somebody's judging too much, like we just said, and you hate them, this guy straight away fly off the handle and judge. And maybe that's what you do. That's why it irritates you. And maybe you step back. Okay, let's go to the next one. For better to come, good must stand aside. What is it with you guys this morning? You have lots of smiles, but you've lost your voice. Giant, you're always eager to speak. What happened to you today?
No, good morning, sir. Always eager to speak. That's true. But I wanted to give a chance to my other colleagues also so that they can participate. So let me put it in from my way for this particular aspect. We need to face adversity. We need to face challenges. So it's not all the time that good things should happen to us. It is from the tough situations. It's from the tough people which we meet. So obviously the good has to stand aside for you to face all those challenges and get through them and get a better experience and be a better person. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. So, as I say, ideally for the thing to communicate, so it's not just more words, an example. So I'll just give you an example. Now, I hope all of you are really happy in your job. Maybe some of you are so-so, maybe some of you are not happy. But you think, I have a good job. reasonable income, good environment. Why rock the boat? I'll continue doing what I'm doing. It's a good. But what if there's a lot more potential in you? What if there's a lot more aspiration, ambition? For that to flower, that good has to stand aside. You have to take a risk, move forward, and risk the security you have for what the better to come. That good has to stand aside. Always remember that in every situation, usually the good is comforting. It's almost like a golden cage. Very few people want to escape the cage, but they get stuck there. I can tell you something. I don't know if it's a good example. I suspect all of us here are in the golden cage of the UAE. Okay, it's a lovely environment, it's safe, it's secure, good services, good amenities, and that may be the best there can be. But if you want to experience the world, if you want more exposure, more experience, more challenges, maybe that good has to stand aside, and some of you have done, and you moved. Some of you moved and regretted it. I mean, that's part of also risking moving away from the good, but at least you know what's in store. Man can endure the hardest trials if he sees meaning in them. Let's have a brave soul to tackle that one. You need somebody who likes climbing. Shall I choose, or are you going to speak up? I prefer you speak up. Deepak, you're in my screen. Let's see. Man can endure the hardest trials if he sees meaning in them. I immediately try and think of an example if you can. It's not always easy, but that's what communicate always best.
Yeah, hi Faiz. So in my perspective in life, we'll gain something, we'll lose something, right? So let it go what we lose, and let's actually wait actually what is the achievement we are going to get for the future. That's it. That's what in my perspective.
All right. So let me give you an example. Let's say your parents. Most of you are parents. Hopefully you're all comfortable, but it's okay. But there's some parents, maybe not in this country because everybody's reasonably okay, but not everyone. And you have to do 2-3 jobs to support your children to go to school, go to college, etc. The meaning is they will graduate, they will be successful in life, etc. And you don't mind cleaning, you don't mind slaving it in, I don't know, as a waitress or a waiter. Those are hard, they're long hours, but the meaning is obvious. My child will achieve a certain level of success. So you do that. It could be in, let's say you have, your knees really bother you. Knee operations are very painful and they need a lot of physiotherapy, a lot of exercise, etc. But when it is finished and done, if all goes well, life goes back to normal, so you're motivated. So always look, when you're going to face tough situation, see, is there a meaning for you? Nobody wants to suffer for the sake of suffering. And you suffer just as a challenge or as a macho thing, you eventually give up. But there is a deep meaning, you will stick it right to the end. Take the next one. To ask the right question is already half the solution of a problem. You are today struggling to be inspired to speak. What is this? No,
Hi, Suhaib here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got 2 people. Who is there? I heard 2 voices. Zach, I heard you. Suhail or Suhaib?
Zach was first, then me.
Okay, let's have both of you.
So actually, because this is, even the quotation is from Carl Jung.
Yeah.
I didn't see that at first, but it's actually one of the major things is in psychotherapy and that field is to be able to ask the right question for us to look for the right answer. Sometimes we can get directed in the wrong place thinking that something is a problem, but if we ask the right question, it can really lead us to the right answer. So directing our mind in the right place is very important.
Very good. If you have an example, is even better. Otherwise, we'll let Suhaib give us the example.
Yes, Fayez, like in a presentation, if I am sitting and, not understanding anything, I don't know what to ask sometimes. So if I have some understanding, at least I know some part of the solution, so I can ask the question.
Okay, all right. Then let's take an example. Somebody, I forget the names and the thing, but there was in this particular location, people were falling ill very badly with diarrhea and so on. And asking the wrong question will be, or the discussion was, it's in the air, in the ether. This is going back, obviously, many years. Then one person says, how is it, it's in the question, when they come from that particular well, they all bring in a problem and they have problem themselves. Okay? And by asking that questions, they identified that possibly that well is infected, or there is something at that time they didn't know about, the theory of disease. But once they've isolated and stopped people filling from that well, problem disappeared. So that question solved it. Some of you will know this Dr. Semovite, I don't know if I'm saying his name. There were a lot of pregnant women when they deliver, etc. So many dying in this hospital. And there was, they opened the window, closed the window, it's in the air, it's jinx, whatever. And this doctor said, how is it when the midwife is a woman, the ladies don't suffer, they don't die. When it's a surgeon, they're dying like flies. So he asked the question, why is it only when the surgeons do the delivery, the mother dies? And they discovered those surgeons were dealing with corpses before because they were experimenting, they were trying to explore, and brought disease with them. Back then, he was a big shot, he's a surgeon, didn't wash his hand. It was against their culture to wash their hand because that means like you're dirty. And they're bringing germs, infecting the mother dying. So asking the questions, why is it only when the surgeon deliver that we have this problem? Solve the problem. So
Can I add one more? Sorry.
Yes, sorry, Amreen?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Can I add one more example here? So, so at the gym, I usually ask like how to remove the belly fat. So instead of giving them what you need to do, I ask them question like, what is your eating routine? And they'll be like, yeah, we eat a lot of carbs, we eat sweet. I was like, that's it, you've answered yourself. So this is one of the examples.
Yeah. So while somebody else will say, well, are you doing sit-ups? You need to do 100. That's the wrong questions. But belly fat that cannot be resolved with sit-ups. Good one. Okay, let's go. Pros make as many mistakes as amateurs. They have just learned how to gracefully recover from their mistakes. Now, I want somebody who frequently does presentations, because that's, let's say, if you frequently do them, hopefully you're the pro. And we know if I'm an amateur, I stand up to present and I forget my line, let's say. Or I feel nervous and a bit sort of short of breath or mouth dry, I will freeze and make a mess of it. A pro does what? Who here does a lot of presentation can help us? Come on, you all do, I know, but you want me to choose you? Let me have somebody from Dubai that does presentation. Who does presentation? Okay. Let me see who I can see here. I know Anil does presentation, so why you're quiet? Go for it, Anil.
Morning, yeah. So while I make presentation, there are times when people challenge, and it actually more than challenge, they can confront. In fact, I had a very recent experience where people confront. The best thing is to just take him as you go, take him smoothly on your side. Try to take him on your side, just so that it doesn't become a pain for you later down the line, and just go with it and make sure that. Obviously, the other thing is to make sure that you know your audience before you go in, so that you know exactly what to speak and what to present, so that you don't get into the wrong side of the people in the audience. That's, to me, is one of the biggest things that I've learned from making presentation.
And you see it on TV interviews. The smooth operator, the clever ones, whatever happens, they forget their line, they fumble their words, whatever. They don't freeze. They find some pivot, and as if the thing didn't happen, because they're pros. And the same thing, let's say in the worst possible presentation challenge, somebody throws at you something tough. Okay, what do you think will be a good response? I challenge you, Anil, and you have no answer. What will be the best answer? Anil?
That's a good question.
That was a good question, yes?
But I didn't realize it was again to me.
Yeah, okay, you can say whatever, but that's a good question. Is always actually, okay, you're acknowledging the questioner, but also you buy yourself some time as well. Sometimes you need a breather. And what else can you do?
Sometimes, so there are times when you get caught by a question. In order to buy time, ask them a question. Sorry, I didn't get it fully. Can you just repeat the question, please? So now this guy goes out in a very detailed manner to explain the question, while you're thinking in your brains what should be the response. So when he finishes, then you give your answer. So you buy time that way.
That's very true. Or the simplest thing, I'll get back to you on that. Sounds very smooth, trouble-free, and nobody can say, what the hell, come back to me, I want it right now. Nobody says that. So that is something you have to really smoothly put in there. And actually, said right shows care, respect, and the guy feels important that, I've challenged, but he's going to get back to me. So that's what a pro does. An amateur thinks it's the end of the world. They freeze, fumble everything, and ruin it for themselves and for the audience. Worry is ineffective. 99% of the stuff you are anxious about won't happen. What is that? I mean, does that even sound right? 99% of this stuff won't happen? What the heck? Come on, guys. Let me try a newcomer. Warchik, you had the picture and then you switched off your camera. I hope you're still there. So what is this about? Worry is ineffective. Why? If I worry, maybe I come up with a solution. Why is worrying?
I think when we cross the line, when we thinking about something and we start imagine these negative scenarios, then we cross this line and we are not finding a solution, but we just worry. And when we are worried, it's like a spiral and viral. It's like too many negative thoughts. And after this, we will not see clear the best solutions. Or when you have too many emotion, especially this negative emotion, it will be like not something which bring to us and motivate us, or it will be something totally opposite. So I think I've heard one theory about the quantum thinking, and this is where we use it. We try to think about the positive We
Project, I lost you. Let's leave the quantum to the quantum physicist, but I would really like an example from you or anyone else, because we can all put words, but it can make it even more harder to understand. So if you have an example, fine. If not, anybody else with an example. Especially those who are good at worrying. I see KD is on the line. KD, do you worry much? And when actually reality appears, then does that mean the worrying was worthwhile?
Hello, good morning, everyone. I suspected this would come to me. So, unfortunately for us, sometimes the 1% happens. But still, an example is, let's assume that we have compliance issues that doesn't let us sleep at night. One license is missing or something is missing. Thinking about the problem is only putting the fear in the driver's seat. So when we know the things that we should be worrying about, better fix them rather than spending our time worrying about them and not sleeping at night.
That's true. I must confess, my mind works overtime, unfortunately, but what I think about, late at night before going to, or not late, I never go late, but at night before going to bed, by the morning, the whole thing is disappeared by itself. All that thinking, not so much worrying, was not really worthwhile. So always keep that in mind. Wojciech, I don't know whether you thought of an example. You were shaking your head a bit.
I was thinking about a situation when we came here with my wife. At the beginning was like, okay, new country, new culture, especially if I'm Catholic, yes? So my imagination was how to deal with this, and what about my faith. And there was exactly this example, because when I come here, it's like, okay, it's not a problem, not at all.
So all that worrying was not necessary.
Exactly.
Actually, it was Mark Twain. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Yeah, very clever. Where your fear is, there is your task. Very few people would dare take this on board. I don't know how many of you have this as a motto. I know some do, but I don't know if anybody has this as a task. So bear this in mind. I'm going to not actually spend time on it because we're going almost 9:30 and I want to go to the final slides that I will speak about before we close. So the two are connected. Anybody does that driving. If the path before you is clear, you are probably on someone else's. If the path, who does desert driving? Can I have a show of hand? Okay. All right. You will know the leader of say 2, 4, 20 cars has totally different perspective, totally different challenge. They're the one that are seeing the landscape. They're deciding what's the best way to go. They carry the responsibility of everybody else. If we select the wrong path, it all falls on their head. Those who are behind, the path is clear. Okay, it's easier. They see and they follow. Okay, if the path before you is clear, you are probably on someone else's path, really. I can give you from my example, and a lot of you, especially the older amongst you, in Jordan, when you go to college, your father says, doctor or engineer. There is no other options. You can go to this or you go to that. Even lawyer was a bit pushing the envelope a little bit, so it was one of those. So sure enough, I went and when I became an engineer in Leeds University. But when I come back, the engineering job, at least what I studied, electrical, electronic, was in the Jordan Electricity Company. And they didn't take me on. They wanted somebody with experience. I was a fresh graduate, and they refused. And thank goodness they didn't, because the entry salary would have been about 750 dirham. Not a great start in life. I mean, I think you can't get the house help these days at 750 dirhams. So that's how it was, and it still is really not a very well-paid job. So that was the path my father, if you like, had for me. And you need to remember that, especially the younger ones, your child doesn't need to have your path. And if they do, it's somebody else's. Their thoughts, their passion will not be there. And they could excel beyond your wildest dream if they follow their own passion. And with that, I'm going to close and say, please leave your comment and rate. And thank you very much and have a great day.